morning, everybody, and welcome into the final few rounds of the iRacing Radical Esports Cup for Season 3 of 2026. Rather unbelievably, we're already at round 10 of Season 3 this year and closing in on the end of our season. Phillip Island is the host for this race tonight. Mosport next week, Interlagos the week after for a traditional finale. But this week, myself and Illyria Joe Gregory going to be bringing you through the action here for 18 laps tonight. And with Ramiro Augustin Cisneros behind the cameras, as always, on a Friday night. It's been a season, JR, on these Friday nights anyway, all about one man, really, and Brandon Hawkin is the name. Finally, though, last week at Zolder, his remarkable win streak came to an end. He only finished third, which, to be fair, is still a very good result, but he's really been the big story and the breakout name from Season 3.
Yeah, he really has. The Radical community, pretty small, pretty tight community. Hawken showing up here and kind of showing who's boss out here. And, you know, despite that mere third step on the podium finish, he is way ahead in the points, and we'll get to that in a minute. But a fantastic season for Brandon, and couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Only 3 rounds to go. These next 2 racetracks, including tonight, quite similar, really. Phillip Island, flowing circuit, just like Mosport is next week. And Interlagos rounds out the season on the 4th of September. Brandon Hawkin in the iRacing official standings is a long way in front as well. Over 400 points in front of James Barry, who himself, I guess, more than 100 over Peter Eveny, with Kjetil Larsen then in 4th place. Max Davies, a bit of a jump back to 5th place, 7 points in front of Hubert Gullikson. Andre Castro is 7th in front of Jake Williams, Heinz Braun and Oleg Gullikson rounding up the top 10. And in our RaceSpotTV standings, Brandon Hawkin is leading the way with 211 in front of James Barry, and quite a fight for second. Peter Eveny and Andre Castro just in behind. Kjetil Larsen's next, only 1 point in front of Hubert Gullikson, with Jake Williams, who hasn't scored a top 10 since Silverstone in the first half of the season, in the next position. Max Davies, who hasn't been off the podium only for one occasion at Imola, and Heinz Braun and Dennis Kirkopoulos rounding out the field. And finally, all drivers who've only scored points in one race are out of the top 10. It's taken us 10 weeks to get there. As I say, it is all been about Brandon Hawkin this season. A remarkable run that he had finally comes to an end after 7 rounds of winning in a row. He finished 3rd last week at Zolder when Peter Eveny was able to take the victory. Andre Castro was able to hold on to 2nd in front of Brandon Hawkin, who ended up finishing in 3rd. I get the sense tonight that it's going to be quite an open race once again here at Phillip Island. For all the twists and the turns and the flowing corners that are around here, it does mean that in slightly slower cars like these Radicals, there's a good chance for drafting, and that helps to keep guys together, closely bunched together, and might help us keep a very, very close race right the way through here tonight.
Yeah, too right. And the draft, very, very powerful in these SR10s. And we're going to see it here tonight down that pit straight. The key here, of course, is a good entry out of turn 12. And the draft is going to suck these cars together for what is going to be repeated contested entries into turn 1, and that side-by-side action in turn 1 can continue well into turn 2, and it's one of the very thrilling things about this track, plus a couple of low-speed corners. Keep an eye on turn 4 for some late dives, and turn 10, the sharpest corner on the track where the braking zone is over a crest. Very, very difficult, very likely to lead to mistakes, especially when the red mist gets really red, Ewan.
Yeah, we'll hopefully have time in this race to actually follow a lap on board with somebody as we go through, because there's actually not very many in the field here tonight because of the way that iRacing splits work. Sometimes you get very, very busy fields. Sometimes you get the opposite end of that spectrum, and we've only got 13 in the field so far tonight. Andre Castro moves to the top of qualifying, though, with a 123 rather, 0.6, just in front of Brandon Hawkin and Hubert Gullikson. The gaps are not very large, though. James Barry looking to get ahead of all that, although his first sector should mean that he's going to be nowhere near that. And indeed, the session ends right away with him starting in 4th position. It's that late lap time from Andre Castro that looks to have taken the pole here tonight, in front of Brandon Hawkin by 23 thousandths and Hubert Gullikson by 27 thousandths. James Barry is in 4th place with Chancho Banda and Kjetil Larsen then on row 3. Row 4 is Max Davies and Ole-Henrik Gullikson. Then Heinz Braun and Greg Walker round out the top 10. Dennis Kirkopoulos 11th ahead of Wyatt Cormier, with 13th place taken up by Tobias Matheson, the last driver in the field. a much smaller field this time round and maybe a quieter start. Certainly the chances of a cleaner start increase when you just reduce the numbers in the field slightly, certainly compared to last week where it felt like we had millions of cars at Zolder. A little bit of a bigger circuit, and we've got 13 tonight, just the way that the iRacing splits really work these guys out.
Yeah, at 2 right, and look at that front row. It is Andre Castro in pole, lined up next to Brandon Hawken. This has been the story of the front end of this very competitive Radical Esports Cup field, and fans of this series, fans of this 2100 GMT broadcast could not ask for anything better. You see Castro right there with a slight edge and the inside entry into turn 1 on Hawken. But as we saw last week at Zolder, having that inside entry and having that position might not be enough to preserve that P1. Let's see what Hawken can do out of P2.
It's going to be very interesting. The launch off the line so crucial. Slightly uphill towards the line here, which just exacerbates any good start and indeed on the other side any bad start that you might get around here at Phillip Island. Finally, Henrik Gulliksen gets himself onto the grid, I think, and we're ready to go for tonight. 18 laps from Phillip Island in round 10 of the Radical Esports Cup here this season. As we get underway, it's Andre Castro with a good start, although pretty even really across the top 5. Immediately tucking back into line, Brandon Hawken just in front of Henrik Gulliksen, who himself moves to the outside line. It's going to be a very long way around there for him though, through turn number 1. Castro leads in towards 2, single file right the way down, side by side to firstly for 7th place between Gulliksen and Braun, and off the road to the outside goes Ollie Gulliksen there. I believe because of that side by side, he goes wide through turn 2, off into the grass and drops to the very back of the field. Dennis Kirakopoulos also slow, coming out of turn number 2 on this occasion. Down in towards the hairpin for the very first time, and it's clean for the leaders with only a couple of drivers heading off into the grass on the outside of turn 2.
Oh my goodness, and a little rubbing right there between James Berry and Gulliksen, and what a blast off the line by Andre Castro. We saw him get smoked at Zolder last week, was not going to let that happen this week. Got a very good start, and now it is Castro from Hawken. That gap only 0.1 right now as we settle in here to Phillip Island. Here is that downhill charge into turn 10. I talked about that earlier, and that's going to be an area that tests people's bravery. And I'll tell you what, Ewan, this track rewards the brave, punishes the foolish, and sometimes it's not that clear which is which.
There's the contact with Gulliksen. It's with Heinz Braun, who was on his inside. So Carlos must have been separate. Yeah, just drove on for his own bollocks, and that shot there, moving wide through turn 2. That's how the two of them drop so far back on lap number 1. Greg Walker as well has dropped back a little bit further on in the lap, and this is what happened to him over the top of the hill through Lukey Heights here, and then that downhill braking zone briefly referenced. Whoa, locks up and goes straight on down there at turn 10. There's a lot of runoff, thankfully. Well, there's no wall even. There's grass, obviously. There's no wall to collect you immediately, so Walker able to use a bit of that, but to get himself back on the racetrack, and all the way down the field he goes. Side by side for 4th place meantime as Tancho Banda tries to take that away from Kjetil Larsen. That really allows the top 3 to run away, and down the inside goes James Barry as well, trying to take advantage of the fact that Banda couldn't make that overtake, and he successfully does that, although Banda tucks back underneath him, and these guys are having a fight that is properly taking them out of the contention for the top 3 places.
Wow, and great stuff right there between Banda and Barry. And Banda, I'm betting that's a new name to me. He's probably a local here, defending his home turf at Phillip Island, as we sometimes see in the Radical Esports Cup. And a great fight going on between those two. And Barry uncharacteristically dropping off the start, qualifying in P4 down to P5 right now, and is fighting to hang on to that with a huge charge from Banda. That gap 0.2 currently.
As you say, not a name I've seen either in the Radical Esports Cup before. Oh, and a late defence there from Barry on Banda in towards turn 1. Got to be careful with those late moves. Banda not riled up so much as to try and return serve in towards turn 2. So they all try and cling on to get to Larsen as well right now, who's in 4th place, and just getting onto the last bits of his slipstream here, and Barry will be hoping that doesn't get attacked too much in future so that he can focus on catching them. But these 3 seem to be gone, and this is the danger of battling so early, as those guys found out there. Castro, Hawken and Gulliksen are going to be almost impossible to catch from this point on because of the rather premature fight there for fourth place behind them.
Yeah, too right. And Barry probably having some grumpy thoughts in his head about Bonda behind, creating that gap. Larson, too, involved in that early fighting. But you are absolutely right. Those top three, Castro, Hawken, Gullickson, driving off right now. The gap right now between Gullickson and Larson, almost 2 seconds. And on a track like this, with a big slipstream, once you get outside that 0.8, 0.9 bracket, those front cars are absolutely going to drive off. And I'll tell you what they're going to do right now is tick off the next 16 laps and save their fighting for the very end. And the beginning of this race is just how all three of those racers would have written it if they had the chance.
Indeed, through turn one. Single file for both groups at the front. You can see the movers and shakers on the left-hand side. Tobias Matheson, the most places gained. He's also applying the pressure to Max Davies for 8th place right now as well. Gets into the slipstream and looks for a move down towards the hairpin, maybe the most popular overtaking point on this circuit. He's not going to go for it there, though, Matheson. But, yeah, good progress, as I say, so far. And another name we haven't seen so much of here in the broadcasting split on Friday nights to this point.
Yeah, Matheson getting his work done out there, +4, as you said, and not a lot of movement out here. And this is one of those tracks, Ewan, it's kind of tight. Not a lot of opportunities. You kind of settle into a groove and apply pressure, try to force a mistake ahead. And I'm not saying this is going to persist throughout the entire race, because it won't. There will be some dives down the stretch, but here early on, people tend to kind of fall into line and get their laps done, get what they can out of the slipstream. And we're seeing a couple trains here, Castro from Hawken, from Gullickson, and Larson leading his own train of 4 cars, separated by about a second.
It's very, very close early on here, and the slipstream seems very difficult indeed to break away from. We've seen that for these front three especially. Andre Castro leads them around as Tobias Matheson now nearly in front of Max Davies. Holds on through turn 2. So change for 8th place as Matheson gaining more positions here to 8th position on this occasion. See if he can consolidate that towards the hairpin. And he certainly can. Oh no! He's been hit by Max Davies. I don't think intentionally, of course, but Tobias Matheson certainly hit by Max Davies on the way to the hairpin. And he loses that position and a whole load of time because of what seemed like a misjudgment from Davies going into the hairpin there.
Oh my goodness, and anybody who's been involved in racing has seen conversations around that kind of situation. The driver ahead is going to say, I got punted. The driver behind is going to say, why did you brake so early? But regardless, Davies through and Matheson down to P9. Still looking okay. That's a +4 for him, but yikes, yeah, just a little bit of a tap right there on the under heavy braking, enough to upset that radical and turn it sideways. And somebody suffered in the background of that. I saw someone in the grass coming up on that, so a little bit of a ripple effect down the field from that incident.
As you expect to see him, yeah, did see somebody else off the road. Through the turn 2 goes James Barry, leading a train of 4 here. Increasing under pressure as well as Kjetil Larsen tries to win this place back again for 4th position, but can't do it for the moment. And James Barry now the one to experience perhaps not being able to break away at the front. He's been able to benefit from the slipstream before, and he has gotten to the front of the group. He's got to try and break away from it, which, as we've seen so far, incredibly difficult to do.
Yeah, and Barry there, apologies to James Barry's fans. I know that there's a lot of you out there. We missed how he was able to get back to his qualifying position in P4. He had been down 2 positions from qualifying, running in P6, somehow pushed his way through Kjetil Larsen and Bonda there within the last lap or 2. So Barry getting his work done, getting back within striking distance of the podium. But look at that gap ahead to Gullickson now, sitting about, my goodness, that interval 3.5 seconds, almost insurmountable. And here comes Hawken.
Finally, he's gone for it here. It's taken him 1/3 of this race as we go through 6 laps, but finally he's down the inside of Andre Castro and through into the lead of this race. In behind, Hubert Gullikson tries to see what he can do from here, or is he just going to watch on from the 3rd position in this group? It looks like it is going to be the latter as they come down towards the hairpin again, but I was beginning to wonder whether Hawkin was purposely staying there or whether he just could not make the pass. Well, it turns out it was all tactics. He's made the pass now, but again, he's now going to find it very difficult to break away, I'd imagine. So now what does Castro do next? Does he respond the next lap? Does he wait a few more? Does he wait even for the very final lap? Interesting to see what his next tactical move is going to be.
Yeah, and fascinating racecraft from Hawkin. And if you're a fan of the series and you've been following this season, you saw Hawkin do something similar at Road Atlanta. He sat in P2 about half the race, then made a move about halfway through. And what I saw, Ewan, and him doing that was, you know, I'm not going to attack you on the last lap and just sit behind you this whole time. I'm going to pass you and give you enough time to get that back. I want to race, and Hawkin is doing it. And here comes Castro. He's going to show his nose down the inside of that long pit straight and leapfrog underway with Gullikson in the popcorn seat.
So, yeah, Castro doesn't want to sit in second for very long here. And it's always more interesting when there's 3 in the group rather than just 2, because generally you don't see them, you either see them exchanging very orderly or not at all when it's just 2, but when there's a 3rd, it does make it very interesting. Both of them want to lead right now, and not both of them can. Down the inside for Brandon Hawkin at turn 4, after being overtaken just 3 corners earlier. He wins that place back again off of Andre Castro. Hubert Gullikson continues to just sit and watch and enjoy the show, by the way, but ahead, Hawkin and Castro are exchanging again and again, and it's Hawkin who leads again, but from previous evidence, it doesn't look like this is going to last very long before Castro comes back through again, and he's already trying up towards Lukey Heights.
Yeah, Hawkin attacking in that one heavy braking zone in turn 4, inviting Castro to take a swing at him right there in my favorite corner, turn 10. Castro gonna take a pass this time, gonna let his tires cool off, let himself cool off, take a break, and here we go. This all-important run through turn 12. Gotta get a great exit here to make the most of that draft down the pit straight, and here comes Castro. Watch that gap drop, about to be under 0.1. And what is Castro going to do here?
Well, he gives him the bump draft this time in towards turn 1. Now, is that the best way to try and make sure he doesn't slip to 3rd? Because I think that's where it does get a little bit more difficult. That's where Gullikson is biding his time and seeing what's what here before really trying anything. But I think Castro has figured that out and maybe wants to be second going on to the last lap. So he might give Hawkin a bit of assistance here for the next few laps. We'll wait and see next time round, see if it was a one-time thing. But Gullikson, now that we're going to hit the halfway mark at the end of this lap, has got to do something about the 2 in front, I think. He's got to try and get in amongst them somehow. Otherwise, he's just going to stay 3rd all race. But the problem is, if he really starts a proper fight for second, then whoever's in the lead at the time will be able to get away. So it's very, very difficult to really see where Gullikson can get involved here, especially when the 2 are going side by side so often. Castro gets back to the inside. He's not waiting like he did at turn 1. He's going for it at Lukey Heights this time, and he gets that lead back again.
Wow, what a beautiful move by Andre Castro, and another great example of the quality of racing and racecraft that we see here on our 2100 GMT broadcast of the Radical Esports Cup. Great stuff there. Kind of caught Hawkin unaware there, coming over the hill, Lukey Heights down into turn 10, and Castro gets it done side by side. A little wiggle and maybe a wall scuff right there by Castro, and here comes Hawkin as Castro leaves that door open. And Hawkin will get through. And you're right about Gullikson. Fascinating what he is going to end up doing. And spoiler alert, Ewan, I have seen 2-for-1 moves on this track down into turn 1 down the stretch here. So that might be what Gullikson has in store.
Maybe. At the moment, he just cannot seem to find a way to get involved here as he sees again the side-by-side fight. Castro going out of turn 4 with the position all over again here. And this is Wyatt Cormier down the field here. Down now to last, and a lockup coming down the hill here towards turn 10. And that is how you lose an awful lot of time. It's an exceptionally difficult braking zone, isn't it? And it looks like we're going to see increasing amounts of side by side between these leaders coming down this downhill braking zone, which is a perilous situation because it is so difficult.
Yeah, it's very, very tough right there. These cars do not have anti-lock brakes. The braking zone actually begins maybe a tiny bit ahead of that crest coming over Lukey Heights turn 9. So you've got to modulate the pedal right there as the car lightens up. And if you fail to do that, you saw what happens right there. You'll drag a front off into the grass.
No move this time for Brandon Hawkin on Andre Castro. In towards turn 2, he shows the nose slightly, but no movement this time round, at least not in towards turn number 1. Absolutely fascinating scenario here between these three. And if Gullikson can get properly involved here and insert himself into this battle, then we're in for quite a fight, even more so than we already are. Tennis Kyriakopoulos, meantime, back down the inside to Tobias Matheson. This is Kyriakopoulos back through the field here, and he's made his way up to 9th, ahead of Matheson, who has to settle for that. So, yeah, a number of drivers coming back through the field here, who are a little bit further down after issues earlier on in the day. And Tobias Matheson's good start has just been knocked back and pegged back by a couple of positions in the last few moments.
Yeah, nice move there by Denis as he catches Tobias thinking under pressure, but Tobias still looking good, up 3, and that'll put Kyriakopoulos up 2. And taking a look back up at your top 3, it's still Castro from Hawkin, from Gullikson, and that is about a 0.6 gap over all 3 of those on lap 11. And my gosh, if I were only a mind reader, I would love to know what's going on in Gullikson's mind right now. I mean, he is within striking distance of P1 Ewan, but how are you going to play it? This is fascinating.
Yeah, let's see here. Well, Matheson actually gets back past Kyriakopoulos, so maybe that's not over back there. But anyway, that's for 9th place. This is for the race lead, which has just started to calm down in the last couple of laps here. At the end of this lap, we'll hit the 2/3 mark of this race, 12 of 18 completed, and just 6 to go at the end of it. So Castro is going to looks like lead going on to that, but how many more times is he going to be leading afterwards, and how many times is he going to be overtaken here by Brandon Hawkin? It's going to be a great fight between them by the looks of it. Through the left-hander they go again at Lukey Heights, and Castro keeps the lead again, but for how long? What's Hawkin's move this time down the front straight? Still get the sense they're just feeling each other out a little bit. I'm not entirely sure what their plan is to go on and win this race just yet.
Yeah, very hard to say, and you got to wonder. I mean, we've been watching the game of leapfrog mostly into turn 1, but we did see it pass by Castro through turn 9. But my question is, will the P1 driver on the last lap survive turn 10? Haven't seen any moves there yet, but eminently doable. Takes a lot of bravery, as I said, but I kind of feel like Hawkin is measuring that up against Castro and trying to decide if that's the place to pounce as the laps tick down.
Very, very close towards turn 4 that time. Hawkin would have had to be very careful not to actually rear end under Castro on that occasion there. Through Siberia they go with a little bit more of a gap between them. 4.5 seconds, increasing the gap to 4th position, that 4th place group. James Barry leading that trio around. The left-hander at the top of the hill. Hawkin with a good run, but no move down in towards turn 10. Gullikson continues to wait in the wings with only 5 laps to go. He's not attempted anything yet, which is a bit concerning for him, I would say. He should have, to my mind, tried something by this point, if not made an overtake, but maybe he can't. Maybe that is the problem. his run out of the final corner maybe not strong enough, and it probably isn't strong enough for Hawkin that time round. Maybe this is the chance for Gullikson, because while Hawkin does get the slipstream from Castro to help him, he doesn't get that much speed from it, and they're side by side for second. This is the chance for Andre Castro to run away. Hawkin goes round the outside and keeps second position in front of Robert Gullikson. That is not a very long amount of time for Andre Castro to actually run away here, and he's only got 4/10 of a second. But that was Gullikson's first attempt, and I think there he was just showing how difficult it is from third place to actually make anything happen, because the slipstream for the second place driver is so strong. It has less of effect for him, for Gullikson, so he's finding it very difficult at the moment in third.
Yes, so tough out here. Track position, so important. Ewan, our top 7 runners are still running in their qualifying position after 14 laps. So it just illustrates how tough it is up here. And we're showing both of our major trains right now, 1 through 3, Castro from Hawkin, from Gullikson, and then 4 through 6 is Barry from Banda, from Larson, as they make their way around Phillip Island. And you know, these cars do train up on heavy draft tracks like here at Phillip Island, and you're seeing it right here. And keeping an eye on Barry, he is putting up a huge defense against Banda, who has not given him a second of respite from being attacked for the past 14 laps.
Only 4 laps to go, and Castro is holding on to the lead a little bit more consistently this time around, but with each lap Hawkins seems to be edging a bit closer again and getting himself into position to maybe take a last lap shot at this. The top 7 have all stayed in the same positions here, and I don't know about you, I can't remember the last time that happened in the Radical Esports Cup here on Friday night. Normally we really do see the field to mix and match, and we have seen that a lot throughout the race, to be fair. We've seen lots of overtakes, but slightly unusual that in this overtake field race at times, especially these front 2 groups, the top 7 have all landed exactly where they started, at least for now. I don't think it's going to last that way right to the finish, though.
Yeah, fireworks are definitely right around the corner. Buckle up and get ready as we're on lap 15 of 18. We have a couple of trains here with some anxious drivers. We're going to take hop on with Greg Walker right now, and see him go a little bit wide into the grass right there. That looks like turn 4, really easy to overcook that entry. And again, no ABS or traction control on these 425 horsepower cars. So these Radicals, definitely a handful, and testing every driver's skill out here at Phillip Island.
A bit of weaving from Hawkin there on Robert Gullikson, who probably wasn't close enough anyway, but maybe that's saying, you know, from Hawkin that he wants to keep this second position going on to the final lap, and he's going to try and come through from there. Probably is the best place to be in, but it's not a surefire thing that you're going to get through. You know, there are some circuits where being second is almost a guarantee of victory, you know, all but. I mean, being second coming out the final bus stop at Daytona is often a surefire way to get to victory. Feels like this is not one of those circuits where you get guaranteed anything, but it's a good place to be. Meantime, for 4th, Tacho Banco goes way down the outside, inside there, sorry, in towards turn 4. James Barry turns straight back underneath him and straight back into 4th position. It was a good attempt, but overly exuberant from Banda, who is straight back to where he started, back to 5th position.
Wow, and Barry with the classic over-under, showing his racecraft there. Kind of gave Banda the Olay there. Sure, I'll leave the inside open. I will lure you into overcooking that entry, and I'll get you right back. James Barry showing why he's multiple past champion of the Radical Esports Cup.
That was quite an attempt from Banda, but Barry holds on to 4th as we see 2 laps to go. Castro still far enough away from Hawkin and keeping him at arm's length. Hawkin not having to defend from Gullikson this time at least, or not too much anyway. He would have had an eye on his mirrors there, but he's got to get closer than this. And don't forget, they're going to see the white flag next time round. I'm not sure what gap Hawkin really needs to be within, to be honest, but maybe 3/10 or so, and he'll be there. But this is not close enough at the moment from Hawkin. Meanwhile, Tobias Matheson goes to the outside, and he can't quite get through from there. So, yeah, top of the screen, battle for the lead. Hawkin gets close through turn 4. Now he's got to stay there. He's got to stay close as they see the white flag in just a few moments' time.
boy, I'll tell you, I'm getting a vibe from Håkan that he is thinking less about Castro right now than he is about Gullikson. I think he is going to let Castro have this one and is thinking about defending against Tavard right now, although he cranked down that gap a little bit right there. But Gullikson with designs on P2, his tires have got to be probably in a little better shape than Håkan ahead. And Håkan thinking about hanging onto that P2 right now, it looks like to me.
He's not got a very good run out of the final turn anyway here, so I don't think this is close enough. He's going to start to gain some time from now as the slipstream really plays a role, but the white flag is waving, Castro's weaving, and Håkan isn't close enough, I don't think, on the way towards turn 1. He's going to get to within 2 tenths, but it's not over, don't forget, because there are some more chances towards turn 4 especially, and down towards turn 10 as well. Into 2 now, Håkan tries to stay as close as possible as Banda and Barry go side by side for 4th position through turn 1. This is the position that Håkan was hoping to be in, with Andre Castro coming towards turn 1 on this lap, but Banda has been able to do what Håkan couldn't, and he moves up to 4th. Here comes Håkan again. He looks one way and then the other in towards turn 4, but Castro absolutely unmoved. So far, Håkan's been strong out of Siberia, perhaps strongest out of anywhere on this racetrack, out of Siberia, and here it is, the all-important run into the final overtaking opportunity of this race. Less than 3 tenths of a second as he exits the corner. The slipstream harder to break because of the twists and the turns in the road. He's not side by side over the top of the hill. It's going to have to be a lunge down at the hairpin if he really wants to get this done, and it will have to be an almighty lunge from back there. He looks over the top of the hill. He can't break late enough. He can't go for it here, and he's going to have to settle for second. Meantime, down the bottom of the screen, it's side by side for 4th. This is what Håkan was envisioning, doing what James Barry has just done, gotten into 4th place with a great move at Lukey Heights on the final lap. But out front, it's a run to the line, and it's one that Andre Castro is going to take victory in. His first victory of season 3 in 2026 of the broadcasted split in the Radical Esports Cup, in front of Brandon Håkan, who's on the podium again, and Hubert Gullikson, who could do nothing but watch them all the way to the line. Castro holds on by less than the quarter of a second in the end.
Oh my goodness, and I hope the viewers too, while we're calling that last little bit around the white flag lap, we're watching James Barry against Banda. That was the race. Those were the moves of this race. Incredible move by Banda around the outside of turn 1. Then Barry gets him back downhill into turn 10. That was an epic lap between those two, and I know that they are all smiles. And James, if you can hear me now, I'd love for you to stop by and talk to us about that after the race.
Well, we'll see who we get a chat with in just a moment's time, but it's Andre Castro who takes the race victory. I say his first of this season, season 3 of 2026. His most recent victory, therefore, was at the Hungaroring in the middle of last season. So over 3 months since he's taken a victory. It's Hubert Gullikson who could do nothing but watch on from 3rd, with James Barry getting that 4th place in front of Tanja Banda, and Ketil Larsen, who finishes in 6th place. Max Davies, Heinz Braun, Tobias Matheson and Dennis Kirkopoulos rounding out the top 10. Ole Henrik Gullikson, Greg Walker and Bright Cormier all did make it to the line, but they were all outside the top 10 at the end of the race. As I say, we'll see who comes to chat in a moment. Normally the drivers who finished in the top 3 do, those 3 drivers in particular, so we'll just wait around for them for a moment. But interested to find out just how comfortable that was for Castro. I must say at times it looked like it was, but maybe he was under a lot of pressure there from Håkan. We'll have to find out, I suppose, but he did make it look easy at times.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the vibe I got from Castro today was determination. He felt that one slip away from him last week at Zolder and was not going to let it happen this time. Did a great job managing that gap behind to Håkan, and looks like he's out there right now, Ewan.
Indeed, let's bring in the race winner, shall we? Andre Castro, who's won for the first time this season in the broadcasted races tonight. Andre, congratulations on the victory. 2 attempts in the end in front of Brandon Håkan. Tell us about your race there and just how comfortable it was, or not comfortable, because at times it looked like you were in the hot seat to win that pretty comfortably. At times it looked like you were really under pressure. What was it really like from your point of view?
I think the second half of the race was more comfortable for sure. I think I was kind of wondering whether I wanted to be first or second for the first half, because it seemed like we could kind of pass each other pretty easily, but the second half, I figured out that if I could kind of get the last few corners just how I wanted them, it was like right on the edge of almost being flat out. So I think Brandon and Havard would be in dirty air. So I managed to kind of eke out enough of a gap every lap to kind of stop them from catching me on the front straight. So I figured if I just had to keep hitting my marks, and if I did that, then then maybe it could work out. I know that downhill, right, hard braking zone, like that's a tough one, because if you lock up at all, you completely ruin your entire advantage. So I knew I had to, hit that corner every single lap, and thankfully it worked out. But yeah, it's been a long season trying to get one. I feel like I could have won maybe about three other races. Obviously, it was always head to head with Hawkins, so it was always going to be tough. But I was making every mistake in the book, so it feels good to close one out.
Second 4 times and third once before this. How much are you relishing that challenge of having Hawkins, but not actually only Brandon Hawkins tonight, but also Hove Gullikson was in there as well, although never quite got in the middle of the two of you throughout today's race. How much are you relishing that challenge this season compared to some of the other previous where you have dominated, like last season, for example? This season's been much tighter. How much are you relishing that challenge?
I mean, Havard and in recent seasons, Peter, and past seasons, Christoph, they were always really quick. So it was never easy, but this season is definitely even more difficult. So just gotta, hats off to Brandon for having such a consistent season, and to Havard as well for being up there today. But last week I just messed up the start, and it was impossible to pass Zolder pretty much. So that was pretty much it. Here it's a lot easier to pass, but it's nice that if you do a good enough job, you can kind of break away a little bit to where it's fine. But no, it's good. I hope we can keep attracting more big names and just talented people, so we can all keep mixing it up and raising the level.
Yeah, great to watch tonight. Congratulations on taking the victory, Andre, in tonight's race, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Yeah, thanks you, and thanks JR. Thanks everyone.
Thanks so much. Andre Castro, the winner at Phillip Island, here tonight in front of Brandon Hawkins, who also can join us now as well. Brandon, welcome in. Congratulations on a second place finish. Another podium to add to your growing list this season. 10 in a row in 10 races in the broadcasted races. But second in the end to Andre Castro in the end after a race-long battle. How was that for you? And how close do you believe you were tonight to taking another race victory and getting Andre Castro at the end there?
Yeah, that was some good stuff there. I felt like I was like right on the verge. I think the main thing holding me back was I was really bad in the last 2 corners with the dirty air, and I just couldn't quite push past it to get back to him there after he got by there the last time. And he was like really good through there. I felt pretty good in the middle section of the track. Pretty decent in the first part, but last 2 corners I just had nothing for him. And I think I was holding up Havard there as well. He got to me there once, and it was a struggle there the last couple of quarters. But I think on the last lap I was almost close enough to make some sort of move going into the I'm not sure exactly which number it is, like turn 9 I think. Just before the end of the track, but I just couldn't quite get there, and I could have stuffed it down the bottom at the bottom of the hill there, but probably would have ended up in both of us wrecking. So like great race from Andre. He just stayed solid the entire time, and I knew it was gonna be really hard to pass. So when I had the opportunity there towards the start of the race, I took it, and couldn't quite seal the deal there. There was one corner I made a little bit of a bobble, and that might have hurt me a bit, but he had a ton of pace though, so it was really great racing with both of them, and congrats to Andre on the win, and close but no cigar, but it was a really fun race.
Yeah, indeed. And in terms of, maybe I don't know if you've done other races this week yet or not, but how did you expect Phillip Island to go? I sense sometimes that people are a little bit surprised, especially in radicals, just how much you can actually draft around here, because it's known for its flowing corners, Phillip Island, so much. How much were you expecting coming into this week, or maybe even tonight if it's your first race, the draft to play such a key role as it does in the radicals at this circuit in particular?
Yeah, it was actually a little bit different than what I imagined. I thought it was going to be kind of what I thought Silverstone was going to be like, where it was just like nonstop, like back and forth drafting. But and of course we had the draft all the way around the track. But yeah, the last two corners were really tough to fight through the dirty air, and we weren't like, unless you were right on the car in front's bumper, you weren't able to get enough of a run to make a move going into one. So it was yeah, definitely it was a lot more difficult, I think, than what I was expecting to like in order to make passes. And yeah, I found that with yeah, Silverstone as well, and like maybe one or two other tracks. There's like maybe like one or two corners that kind of changed the whole flow of the race. And it's yeah, it's really interesting how this car works, because yeah, like a lot of the time it's kind of the opposite of what you expect.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Congrats on getting to second tonight, Brandon, and continuing that run of a podium in every single race so far this season, in the broadcasted races, that is. And thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks very much. Brandon Hawk in second place here tonight at Phillip Island, in front of Hubert Gullickson, who finishes in third place, also on the podium. Hubert, welcome in, and congratulations on a podium. Are you a little bit frustrated that you couldn't really get in amongst the front two there, or happy to finish in third place? How was that race for you?
It was a pretty straightforward race. When you're P3 behind maybe two of the fastest radical racers in here, it's impossible to pass if they don't do any mistake. I tried to save some tires, but the right front is gone in all the dirty air. So yeah, I think P3 was the best I could do if no accident happened.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, just as you were sat there watching in behind, just what was going through your mind in terms of whether you were, or how you were thinking about getting involved, getting into second, if you were at all? I know you had one chance where you were side by side with Hawking for a little bit, but what were your thoughts on that, and indeed how the battle in front of you might actually play out, as you sort of had the best seat in watching it throughout that race?
Yeah, it was nice to watch from behind. I could, of course, have been more aggressive in some places, but yeah, I'm not that kind of a driver, so I just want to have a fair fight and not to take too much risks. And yeah, I want everybody to finish the race.
Absolutely. Congratulations on getting into third over tonight, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks so much, Hubert Gullickson, chatting to us at the end as well, and third here tonight, as well as a bonus interview. We go down to fourth place as well and bring in James Barry, because what a fight it was towards the end there. James, welcome in. Thanks for jumping in on a even though it's a non-podium for you today, and mainly to talk about that battle for fourth place, especially on the last lap. We watched at the front as the front three couldn't really get alongside each other at all, really, on that last lap at all. But at the very last, you were able to make that pass towards Lukey Heights for fourth position. Just tell us about the last lap as a whole, and that pass in particular right at the end of it to take fourth place.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys saw of it, but obviously, yeah. I wasn't in a position that I wanted to be in after driving off the track at the start of the race, but alas, I had to fight for my position, and obviously, yeah, just had a really fun race with, was it Tancho, his name, I believe, a new guy who I've not seen before in the series. And yeah, and he got me around the outside into turn one. I just didn't have enough of a gap. I was scared that Shettle behind would get us as well, but he didn't. So Tancho got in front of me, and then yeah, I just did a massive dive bomb into turn four, I believe it is, to get him back. Caught him napping, but it was a very risky move, but just about pulled it off. So yeah, shout out to him for coming in and giving me a great race and beating a lot of established drivers, and yeah, really fun track to battle at.
Yeah, indeed. Is that what you were expecting from this week? I can't remember it being on the Radical schedule very often, to be honest, at Phillip Island. So were you expecting a sort of draft-heavy circuit that this has really become? Because everyone knows, of course, Phillip Island for its more flowing corners rather than it being a drafting circuit.
Yeah, maybe JR will remember some of the races we've had here in the past couple of years, but we've actually had I think we've been here 2 or 3 times since I've been around, and it always proves to be a great track, so I'm really happy that people come out and race it. Yeah, unfortunately, we just had a split where it was like we just had above the amount of drivers for one split, so it turned into like 2 really small splits. So maybe a bit misleading with the popularity of the track, but actually, yeah, a lot of people wanted to come and race it this week. on the Friday at least. So yeah, really grateful for that.
Yeah, well, good to see it on the schedule again for the actually first time in over a year, but nevertheless, as you say, has been around before. Thanks for coming to chat to us, James, even though you weren't on the podium tonight, about that fourth place battle, and we'll hopefully see you again next week at Mosport.
Yeah, absolutely. See you guys.
Thanks very much, James Barry, fourth place here tonight from Phillip Ireland. And if you're looking for a pass of the day, JR, you probably look to that one from James Barry here at Phillip Ireland tonight, coming through those final couple of corners. But it was a great race overall and a close finish, although Castro did have Hawkin and Gullickson figured out there by the final third of the race, I'd say.
Yeah, Castro really showing his racecraft and showing his determination not to let this one slip away. You heard him during the interview, and did a fantastic job managing that gap behind. And it was all about that exit out of that final corner under the pit straight. Castro pulled it off perfectly every time. Hawkin couldn't quite handle it the way that Castro did, and that was the difference in the race. Great stuff up front, as always.
Yep, as always, it is. Mosport, it will be, once again, 2100 GMT, broadcasted split live with you for another 2 weeks before this season ends. Mosport next week and Interlagos the week after that. Make sure you join us on the iRacing and RaceSpotTV YouTube channels for those ones over the next fortnight or so. That's it from us tonight, though, from Phillip Ireland. Another great round of this championship and an Andre Castro victory for the first time in over a season. Meanwhile, Brandon Hawkin continues his run of podiums and continues his way to not only a victory in our RaceSpot standings from Friday night races, but an overall iRacing standings victory by some way, it looks like, in the standings so far. I've been Neil O'Leary alongside Jay Gregory here tonight from Phillip Ireland, with Ramiro Augustin Cisneros behind the cameras of this RaceSpot TV and iRacing broadcast. Until we see you at Mosport in 1 week's time, it's goodbye for now.